Thank you very much. Can I acknowledge Monkey Jung, the chairman of H2 Meet, and thank you very much for the invitation to be here and for the magnificent exhibition that you have. Look, we're very keen to come here today to talk about our potential in Western Australia, which is 1/3 of the continent of Australia, the ability that we have to use renewable hydrogen, and our focus is on renewable hydrogen, in green hydrogen, in order to decarbonise our economy, but also to be able to work with our traditional trading partners, such as Korea, to help them decarbonise their economies. And for us to collaborate both in the investment of generation, but also in sharing and utilising the technology. And we, of course, recognise that in many areas Korea is very technologically advanced. So I just got to do a little spiel here about Western Australia. Well, that's Australia as a whole, but you could see our part over there on the western 1/3. Why is it that we are going to be such an important partner? Obviously, we have a massive land mass, low level of population, and solar and wind resources of incredible global quality. So in terms of the quality of the renewable source, the land mass that we have, we are incredibly well placed. And of course, we've also got many of the critical minerals that are going to be needed for the 21st century technologies for electrolyzers, fuel cells, wind turbines, metal hydride storage, so nickel, iridium, platinum, titanium, zinc, dysprosium, etc., all exist in Western Australia. So if we go to, we have 1,300 kilometres of coastline. We have 18 ports connected by statewide road and freight network, and we also have a 16,000 kilometre pipeline. We are already as the largest supplier of iron ore in the globe, with 37% of global supply last year. But we're also a major and highly experienced LNG exporter, with currently 12% of global exports, and a very considerable percentage of our LNG goes to Korea. So we've got a massive trading history there. And we know that worldwide, to achieve the global net zero emission scenarios that virtually all countries are now signing on to by 2050, that the International Energy Agency, of course, forecasts that we need to move from a production of 212 million tonnes to 2030 and take that up to 530 million tonnes by 2050. And of course, this really does have to be increasingly green hydrogen. We're not going to be achieving net zero if we are not moving towards green hydrogen. And I must say, interesting meeting with Mr. Moon from H2 Korea this morning. I understand that the latest plan that the Korean government has put out, which is very interesting, is that 2.3% of electricity generation in Korea by 2030 is in this new plan designed to be generated from clean hydrogen. And so that is an extraordinary demand that I hope is going to drive many of the investments that we have. Look, I'll just, if we can flick over to, I just want to talk about some of our supply capability that we have in Western Australia. So we, on the basis of current projects that are underway, I think we can see by 2030 there is the potential for us to have 100 gigawatts worth of renewable energy generation. And using a figure of 75% efficiency of our electrolyzers, and I know that companies are moving that technology forward. We may be able to do better. That would equate to 7 million tonnes of renewable hydrogen per annum by 2030. Now, we're hopeful. We know our friends at FFI are perhaps even looking at being able to have some small export quantities available, perhaps to Germany by 2025, 2026. We know the Uri plant run by Yara and Engie are looking at a 2026 timeframe, but we do need to accelerate these to get to those figures by 2030, and it is possible. By 2040, we believe that will be double that. So. Look, we know there's a big price differential, but we understand that the world is appreciating that every supplier has to be conscious of the embedded carbon, and there is going to be increasing constraints on those companies that do not deal with their Scope 3 emissions. So this is going to be an important factor to be able to drive down the carbon footprint of our products. So and just to then perhaps give you a glimpse of where the projects are, they're up and down the state, right from Kimberley in the north, right around to the Eucla in the southern half of the state. Now you'll note there's not Korean names up there, but I can assure, as I discussed with Mr. Moon this morning, there's Korean companies very much talking to to the proponents of the vast majority of those projects. So we can see a very, very active engagement. Just to go through some of the bigger projects, the Asian Renewable Energy Hub up in the Pilbara area, that is potentially a 26 gigawatt project, which recently BP have acquired a 40% interest in and have taken over the operation and the development of that project. We, of course, have FFI and the Fortescue Future Industries projects. They have a range of projects also in the Pilbara, and they aim to be producing 15 million tonnes of green hydrogen by 2030 across a number of their projects. Looking at mine decarbonisation, really important, but also looking at 15 million tonnes of export. We have companies like Province Resources in the middle of the state, partnering with Total Eren. Coming down the coast, we have Murchison Renewable Hydrogen Project with their international partners, Copenhagen Investments. Back up into the Pilbara, we have the Yara and Engie project, which now has Korean interest in this as well, which will be probably our first exporter. Hopefully that is a project that we will be able to start doing the site works on later this year. Of course, we have also Woodside, one of our big LNG companies, and it's really important to see these big gas companies coming to the party, have a range of projects, particularly at this point focusing around Kwinana, but are also looking at projects up into the Pilbara. And we have other companies like Infinite Green Energy, smaller projects. But most of these projects, a whole raft of these, are around the 1 to 10 gigawatt projects. We do also have out a fantastic project, 50 gigawatt project out on the western, southeastern side of the state. So projects ranging from 1 gigawatt all the way up to 50 gigawatts. Now, we're trying to do our bit to encourage and incentivise, get early approvals for this industry. We're working on a variety of hydrogen hubs in the Pilbara, in Okajee, in the Midwest, and in Kwinana, looking at how we can help get this industry going by investment and getting the approvals in some common user infrastructure. So we have the Pilbara is obviously one of the big ones. Another one that we are working on is Okajee in the Midwest, which will be a fantastic site for developing industry around the generation capability. So again, we've got a number of international players that are very interested in locating to that site in a spoke and hub potential development, and hopefully we'll be able to announce the early successful proponents of land allocation in that area. We're also doing work on understanding what we need to do to develop the global supply chain. We are immensely conscious of the fact that we just simply do not have sufficient electrolyzer capability across the globe to meet even the production levels we're talking about in Western Australia alone. We do know that there are companies now going out there developing new gigawatt electrolyzer factories, and we're actively in the market, working with companies, encouraging them to do the work, to do the feasibility studies for relocation here in Western Australia. We have been funding a whole range of smaller projects to stimulate local production. It's really critical. We've got a chicken and the egg. People aren't producing because there isn't demand. There isn't a demand because there isn't a product. So in order to break that cycle, we have been investing in a range of small projects, such as this one, which we're doing with Woodside, to develop a refueling centre for heavy haulage vehicles, concrete trucks, and heavy haulage vehicles generally. And we're confident, and we note that that Woodside have a partnership with a company here, HyNet, who are doing fantastic work in really rolling out very quickly refueling centres, and I think that's a technology that we could definitely use in Western Australia. We have other refueler projects that we're funding, gas blending projects, all of which hopefully will be underway by the end of the year. And we have a really exciting, in the middle of the state, we have a hydrogen microgrid, which hopefully will be one of the first hydrogen microgrids in the world, replacing diesel. WA, we import 6.7 billion tonnes of diesel each year, and we want to get serious about replacing that diesel, which is one of the reasons why we have been looking at the investment in mining equipment and also heavy haulage. We're also developing a renewable energy, a renewable hydrogen target. So we're looking at having a target similarly to that that you have spoken about this morning, Mr. Moon, a target for our electricity system. For hydrogen generation, looking at blending into the gas turbines and into the gas pipeline network. So that work is underway. Hopefully will be concluded by the end of this year. And we're working on value chain models, working on how we can bring that lowest levelized cost of hydrogen to something that becomes comparable to the non-renewable sources. We're seeing great interest in developing in pipelines. Technology is changing all the time, but the current message is that pipelines are going to be probably the most valuable way of moving the product around as they form a dual function as a storage medium. So we're also interested in all of the upstream processing, developing electrolyzers, wind turbines, but we're also very much interested in the downstream processing, and we take great heart with the some major Korean players that are wanting to work closely with us to develop a green iron product. So rather than taking our iron ore and taking our electrons, actually manufacturing, processing our iron ore to the standard of an iron product, which then can be exported to other markets to turn into finished steel and finished steel products. So we're really very excited that there's so many companies that are expressing interest in that great vision for us all. So I think Western Australia, can absolutely work very closely with Korea to share technologies, to utilise the development, your massive advances that you've made, particularly in fuel cell technologies, and to continue to be a great trading partner with Korea, and have you also as an investor in our development. And I just want to echo then the comments that a number of the speakers made this morning. This is incredibly important work. This is incredibly important work because we all see the devastation going on around the globe that is due to climate change, and we do need to bring those carbon emissions down. So the good part of the story is there's incredibly exciting business opportunities in doing that, but let's embrace it and let's drive it hard and let's go green. Thank you.